what's up, man? So today we got Big Mike back in the building as usual, man. What's up, Big Mike?
What's the word, my boy?
You already know, man. Now this was gonna be interesting, man, because I'm gonna ask you a couple of these hot topics out here, but I want to get some of the fans' questions to you because the fans, they do a lot of questions in the comments, man. They want to learn a lot about a lot of stuff. Some things I know is taboo, some things you can't talk about, but it's better to put it out there.
Something is not adding up, and now people are starting to say it out loud. Because just when everyone thought the situation around NBA Ben 10 was slowing down, new rumors hit, wheelchair footage, hospital release whispers, and suddenly the story flips again. Fast. And the moment those rumors started spreading, one voice stepped in immediately. Big Mike. Not reacting casually, reacting like someone who knows more than he's saying. Listen. He didn't just dismiss the rumors. He questioned them. "How y'all know that?" he allegedly says. "Where that coming from?" And that right there changes the tone. Because now it's not just about what people are seeing. It's about who is putting that information out. But here's where it gets deeper. Because while all this is happening, another name enters the conversation, Allstar Jr. And this time, it's not rumors. It's federal. Fed charges being mentioned. Real legal pressure. And suddenly, two separate situations start feeling connected in a way nobody expected. Fans are shocked. Because now you've got one situation surrounded by mystery, and another surrounded by legal consequences, happening at the same time. And Big Mike's reaction? It's not loud. It's controlled. Calculated. Like he's choosing his words carefully, because he understands how serious this really is. And the biggest question right now? Are these just rumors getting out of control? Or is there something happening behind the scenes that people are only starting to catch on to now? The moment that reaction hit, everything started moving faster. Because now it's not just rumors floating around. It's people responding to those rumors in real time. And when someone like Big Mike steps in the way he did, it forces everybody to slow down and actually look at what's being said about NBA Ben 10. Listen, this didn't start with a confirmed report. It started with clips. Short ones. Blurry ones. People claiming they saw something, wheelchair movement, hospital footage, conversations happening off camera. And just like that, the internet did what it always does. It filled in the blanks. But here's the thing. Nobody could verify where any of it actually came from. And that's exactly what Big Mike picked up on. According to insiders, his reaction wasn't emotional, it was analytical. He allegedly started asking the same question over and over. Who posted it first? Not what happened. Not how it happened. Who put it out there? Because in situations like this, the source matters more than the story. And once that question gets asked, everything changes. Now people aren't just watching the footage, they're tracing it. Trying to figure out the original upload. The first account. The first mention. And the more they look, the less clear it becomes. Clips reposted. Accounts deleting. New versions popping up with different angles. It starts to feel messy. Not random. Messy. At the same time, word spreads that NBA Ben May 10th had been released from the hospital. But again, nothing official. No direct statement. No confirmed report. Just voices repeating the same thing until it starts sounding real. Fans are shocked, but also confused. Because every update feels incomplete. One source allegedly says, "It's too many versions of the same story." And that line sticks. Because when a story has too many versions, it usually means nobody has the full picture. Meanwhile, Big Mike's tone doesn't change. He stays steady, questioning everything, not confirming anything. And that kind of response? It stands out. Because in a moment where everybody is reacting fast, he's moving slow, careful, like he understands something about how these narratives get built. Back online, the divide starts forming. Some people believe the footage is real, saying it matches what they expected after hearing earlier rumors. Others push back, saying the lack of confirmation makes it unreliable. And both sides keep going, because there's nothing solid enough to shut the conversation down. But then, another layer hits. The name Allstar JR starts trending, and this time, it's not speculation. It's federal talk. Charges being mentioned. Legal pressure building. And even though it's a separate situation, the timing makes people look at everything differently. Because now you've got one story filled with unclear visuals, and another tied to serious legal consequences. And once those two narratives exist at the same time, people start connecting them, whether they should or not. Inside certain circles, the mood reportedly shifts. Less talking, more watching. Because when federal situations enter the conversation, everything gets quieter, more careful. One insider allegedly says, "Ain't nobody trying to say too much right now." And that silence? It adds weight to everything. Because silence in moments like this doesn't calm things down. It makes them feel more serious. And as all of this continues unfolding, rumors, reactions, footage, legal mentions, the situation stops feeling like one clear story. It becomes multiple moving pieces. And right now, nobody seems to have control over how those pieces are coming together. And just when it feels like the situation can't get more confusing, another layer surfaces, and this one doesn't come from random accounts or reposted clips. It comes from people closer to the environment, people who aren't speaking loudly, but are watching everything very carefully. Because now the focus shifts again, away from just the footage, and toward the timeline. What happened first? What happened after? And more importantly, what doesn't line up? Listen. According to multiple insiders, the timing of those wheelchair rumors around NBA Ben 10 is what's raising the most questions. Not just the footage itself, but when it started circulating. Because if he was still being treated at the time those clips hit the internet, then how did that information get out so fast? That's the question nobody can answer clearly. And once again, Big Mike circles right back to it. Not reacting emotionally, not feeding into the narrative. Just focusing on one thing, source. "Somebody talking too early," he allegedly says. And that statement hits different. Because it suggests that information may have been shared before it was supposed to be. Not accidentally, but intentionally. And if that's true, then the situation isn't just about what happened. It's about who wanted it seen. Back online, fans start digging deeper. Not just watching clips anymore, but comparing timestamps, screenshots, trying to track which version came first. And the more they look, the more it starts to feel like the story didn't spread naturally. It spread fast. Too fast. One user writes, "It's like somebody wanted this out." Another replies, "Or somebody just leaked it before it was ready." And just like that, the conversation shifts again, from confusion to suspicion. Meanwhile, the situation involving Allstar JR starts getting heavier. Because now it's not just mentions, it's details. Federal pressure being discussed more seriously. People close to that situation reportedly going quiet. And that kind of silence? It carries a different kind of weight. Because when Fed conversations start happening, people don't just react, they step back. Inside certain circles, the tone reportedly becomes more controlled. Less speculation, more caution. One insider allegedly says, "This ain't internet talk no more." And that line separates everything. Because now you've got one situation driven by unclear visuals, and another grounded in real legal consequences. But here's where things start to overlap in people's minds. Timing. Because both situations are unfolding at the same time. Both creating tension. Both pulling attention. And even if they're not directly connected, the environment around them starts to feel the same. Heavy. Uncertain. Watched. Back to NBA Ben 10, there's still no clear confirmation about his condition. Just repeated claims, reposted footage, and reactions building around something nobody can fully verify. And that uncertainty? It keeps the conversation alive. Because as long as there's no clear answer, people will keep filling the gap themselves. At the same time, Big Mike doesn't change his approach. Still controlled, still questioning, still refusing to confirm anything without clarity. And that restraint? It stands out more with every update. Because while everybody else is reacting, he's observing. And sometimes, the person observing tells you more than the people talking. Inside the broader conversation, emotions remain high. Some people believe the rumors hold truth. Others believe it's all being exaggerated. But nobody is stepping away from it, because every new detail feels like it could change everything. And as the timeline continues to be pulled apart, re-examined, and questioned from every angle, one idea starts to settle in stronger than before. This isn't just about what happened. It's about how the story is being told, and who is telling it first. And as that idea settles in, the energy around everything changes again. Because now it's not just about footage, not just about rumors. It's about who benefits from all of this being out there in the first place. And that question starts hitting harder the longer NBA Ben 10 stays silent. Listen. Silence in moments like this? It speaks. Because if everything being said was completely false, you'd expect something. A statement. A denial. Something direct. But instead, nothing clear comes out. Just more clips. More reposts. More voices speaking around the situation instead of from inside it. And that's where things start feeling different. Because now the absence of information becomes part of the story. At the same time, Big Mike continues reacting, but in a way that keeps raising eyebrows. He's not feeding into the narrative. He's not shutting it down either. He's staying in that middle space, questioning without confirming. And insiders say that's intentional. One source allegedly says, "He know what not to say." And that line hits because it suggests there's more awareness behind his reaction than people might realize. Back online, the tone shifts again. Less excitement, more tension. Because now people aren't just debating whether the footage is real, they're questioning why it's even out there. Why it spread so fast. Why nobody has stepped forward with something solid enough to settle it. And once those questions start stacking up, the situation stops feeling like random internet noise. It starts feeling controlled. Meanwhile, the situation involving Allstar JR continues building in the background, and this time, it feels heavier than everything else combined. Because now the Fed conversation isn't just rumor, it's being treated seriously. People close to that situation reportedly pulling back completely. No comments. No reactions. Just silence. And that silence? It's louder than anything. Because when federal pressure is involved, silence usually means one thing. Things are moving behind the scenes that the public doesn't see yet. Now here's where everything starts overlapping in a way people can't ignore. You've got one situation where information is leaking too fast, and another where information isn't coming out at all. And that contrast? It stands out. One insider reportedly says, "One story loud, the other one quiet. That ain't random." And that line sticks because it captures exactly what people are starting to notice. Back to NBA Ben 10, the lack of clarity keeps pulling people deeper into speculation. Some believe the wheelchair rumors are exaggerated. Others think they're real but incomplete. But nobody can confirm anything fully, and that uncertainty keeps the conversation alive. Inside certain circles, the mood is described as watchful, not reactive, not loud, just people paying attention. One source allegedly says, "Everybody just waiting to see what comes out next." And that waiting? It builds tension. Because when people stop reacting and start watching, it usually means something bigger is expected. Big Mike stays consistent, still asking questions, still avoiding direct answers. And that consistency? It starts to feel intentional. Like he's not just reacting to what's happening, but to what might happen next. And as everything continues unfolding, rumors spreading, silence holding, legal pressure building, the situation stops feeling like separate stories. It starts feeling like one environment, one moment, where everything is happening at the same time, but not everything is being explained. And that leads to one question that keeps getting louder the more people think about it. If some information is coming out too fast, and some isn't coming out at all, then who decides what the public gets to see first? And now everything starts to settle into something heavier, not clearer, just heavier. Because when you step back and look at the full picture, it doesn't feel like one clean situation anymore. It feels like layers moving at different speeds. Information leaking too fast on one side, and staying locked down completely on the other. And right in the middle of all of it, you've got NBA Ben 10 still surrounded by questions nobody can fully answer. Listen, at this point, it's not even about proving whether the wheelchair rumors are true or false. It's about how they got out. Because that question still hasn't been answered. And the longer it stays unanswered, the more important it becomes. Insiders now suggest that people around this situation are paying closer attention to who's talking and who isn't. Because leaks don't just happen, they come from somewhere. And when something spreads this fast, this wide, and this messy, it usually means more than one person had access. One source allegedly says, "Too many eyes saw something that wasn't supposed to be seen." And that line carries weight, because it suggests this wasn't just a random moment caught on camera. It may have been something that moved through multiple hands before it hit the public. At the same time, Big Mike's position doesn't change. Still controlled, still measured, still refusing to jump into conclusions. And now, that approach is starting to stand out even more, because everyone else is either reacting loudly or going completely silent. He stays right in the middle, watching. And that middle space? It feels intentional. Meanwhile, the situation around Allstar JR continues tightening, but quietly. No new loud updates. No public breakdowns. Just pressure building behind the scenes. And people close to that situation reportedly aren't saying anything at all. Not even small reactions. Nothing. And that silence? It feels final. Because when things reach that level, when Fed pressure is being mentioned, people don't just step back, they disappear from the conversation completely. Now here's what makes everything feel even more serious. Both situations are still active, still moving, but in completely different ways. One is loud, messy, and filled with questions. The other is quiet, controlled, and filled with consequences. And when those two energies exist at the same time, it creates a kind of tension that people can feel, even if they can't fully explain it. Back online, the conversation hasn't slowed down, but it's changed. Less kissing, more analyzing. People are starting to look at patterns. Who spoke first? Who stayed silent? Who reacted too quickly? Who didn't react at all? And all of those details start forming a different kind of picture. Not a clear one, but a deeper one. Inside certain circles, the mood is described as locked in, focused. One insider allegedly says, "Nobody laughing about this no more." And that line says everything. Because it shows how the tone has shifted from curiosity to seriousness. Because now it's not just about rumors. It's about consequences. It's about timing. And it's about control. And as everything continues to move, quietly in some places, loudly in others, one thing becomes harder to ignore with every passing moment. This isn't just about what happened to NBA Ben 10. And it's not just about what Allstar JR is facing. It's about how information moves, who controls it, and what gets revealed versus what stays hidden. Because in situations like this, the truth doesn't always come out all at once. Sometimes, it comes out in pieces. And right now, it feels like we've only seen a few of them. And now it comes back to you, because after everything you just heard, there's still no clear answer, just patterns, pressure, and a situation that feels bigger than what's being shown. You've seen how NBA Ben 10 is surrounded by rumors that nobody can fully confirm, how Big Mike keeps questioning the source instead of the story, and how Allstar JR is facing something much heavier, where silence says more than words ever could. This isn't just about clips anymore. This is about information. Who leaks it? Who controls it? And who benefits from it getting out at the exact moment it does? Fans are divided. Emotions run high. Some of you believe the wheelchair footage is real and just hasn't been fully explained yet. Others think it's been pushed out too fast, too messy, to be trusted at all. But here's the real question, and don't just answer quick, really think about it. If information about someone's condition can hit the internet before anything official is confirmed, is that just how fast media moves today? Or does that cross a line ethically, especially when it involves someone's health and safety? And take it even further. When federal situations like what Allstar JR is facing stay completely silent while other stories go viral instantly, do you think that's coincidence? Or control? Drop your honest opinion in the comments, no filter. Because this one right here, it's not just about what happened. It's about who decides what you get to see, and when you get to see it. And if you're paying attention like that, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because if anything else breaks, you already know, we're bringing it to you first.